chocolate cake sat untouched on my Toronto apartment's kitchen counter, its single candle extinguished, the flame's wavering ghost still imprinted on my retina. I was 60, a number that felt impossible, a cruel jest of the calendar. The apartment was silent, save for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant pulse of city traffic 12 stories below. I didn't sing to myself, didn't slice the cake. The ritual felt hollow, a performance for an audience of one. Instead, I shuffled to the bathroom, the hardwood cold against my bare feet, and faced the mirror's merciless truth. Gray hair had overtaken what was once dark brown, starting at the temples like frost creeping across a window. Lines etched my eyes and mouth, deepening yearly, carving a map of time's relentless march. I pulled at the loose skin of my neck, trying to smooth it back, to summon the man I'd been at 30, confident, vital, unmarred. The skin refused, sagging defiantly. "Happy birthday, old man," I muttered, my voice a rasp in the sterile light. Sleep eluded me that night, my dreams a cruel montage of younger selves. Rowan at 25, laughing in a university pub. Rowan at 35, closing his first major deal. Rowan at 45, running a marathon under a blazing sun. In each, they walked away, just out of reach, their footsteps fading into a darkness that swallowed my calls. I woke at dawn, the sheets damp with sweat, the ache in my knees a reminder of the present, the body that betrayed me with every step. The quarterly financial presentation at my corporate office dragged on that morning, a parade of charts and projections in a glass-walled boardroom overlooking Lake Ontario. Normally, I'd be scribbling notes, asking pointed questions about market trends and asset allocations, my pen a scalpel dissecting the numbers. Today, I was distracted, my gaze drifting to my colleagues. Marissa from marketing, no older than 35, her skin luminous, her gestures fluid, radiated a youth I envied. Even Brad, pushing 50, had a boyish energy, his laughter cutting through the room's sterile hum. I felt myself fading, a shadow among them, my vitality leaking away like sand through a sieve. "Rowan, your thoughts on the Asia-Pacific numbers?" The CFO's voice sliced through my reverie, sharp and expectant. I cleared my throat, the sound feeble in the room's acoustics. "They're concerning. We should reassess our strategy in the region." A generic answer vague enough to pass muster. I'd review the numbers later, I told myself, though the task felt Sisyphean, another burden for a body already heavy with time. By lunch, my mood was a leaden weight. I carried my tray through the corporate cafeteria, the clatter of plates and voices a dull roar, scanning for an empty table where I could eat alone, my thoughts a tangle of self-pity and dread. Instead, I spotted Thurston Cavanaugh waving me over, his silver hair catching the fluorescent light like a beacon. At 83, Thurston should have been a relic, a stooped figure shuffling through the twilight of life. Yet he defied expectation. His hair thick and lustrous, his posture ramrod straight, his movements fluid as a man half his age. Most striking were his piercing blue eyes, clear and sharp, missing nothing, as if they saw through flesh to the soul beneath. I set my tray across from him, my joints creaking as I lowered myself into the chair, each movement a reminder of my decay. "Rowan, you look troubled," Thurston said, his voice carrying a confident resonance, a timbre that belonged to a man decades younger. "Just tired?" I replied, poking at my salad, the lettuce limp and uninspiring. "Nonsense. I know that look. Something's eating at you." His eyes held mine, their intensity unsettling, as if cataloging every line on my face. I hesitated, the words caught in my throat, then spilled out, a dam breaking. "It was my birthday yesterday. 60. Doesn't feel like cause for celebration." I gestured at myself. Gray hair, sagging skin, the knees that ached when it rained. "Everything's breaking down. I need reading glasses for fine print. I find a new gray hair every morning. The young associates don't even ask my advice anymore. I'm becoming invisible, irrelevant." Thurston studied me, his blue eyes unwavering, a faint smile tugging at his mouth. "Aging troubles you that deeply?" I looked at him, his vitality a stark contrast to my decline. "How do you do it?" You're 23 years older than me, but you look 20 years younger. No offense. None taken, he said, his smile widening, though it didn't reach his eyes. There are methods beyond conventional wisdom, Rowan. Techniques few understand or have access to. Like what? My voice was sharp, desperate, a man grasping at straws. You'll be attending the Vancouver retreat next week. Yes? The question caught me off guard. The annual executive retreat was a 3-day affair of team-building exercises and strategic planning, a ritual I often skipped, deeming it a waste of time. I haven't decided, I said, though the prospect felt exhausting, another demand on a body already strained. You should come. We might have an opportunity for a special excursion afterward, something that could address your concerns. His eyes held mine, their expression unreadable, a mix of promise and warning. One that might help you understand my secrets, as you put it. He checked his watch and stood, his movements smooth, almost predatory. Think about it. A man of your intelligence deserves to preserve his faculties, his vitality. He walked away, his gait confident, leaving me with a prickle of unease and a spark of intrigue that I couldn't shake. That evening, I sat at my computer, the screen's blue light harsh against the apartment's darkness, diving into a rabbit hole of anti-aging research, collagen supplements, retinol creams, hormone therapies. Each promised minor miracles, backed by pseudoscientific jargon and testimonials from suspiciously photogenic, real users. None explained Thurston's impossible youth, his unlined face, his boundless energy. I closed my laptop at midnight, frustrated, the answers as elusive as my younger self. As I drifted towards sleep, I imagined myself at 30, strong, confident, the world at my feet. The image was vivid, tantalizing, a siren's call that whispered possibility, even as the rational part of my mind warned of delusion. Morning brought clarity, but no relief. I sipped coffee, its bitterness mirroring my mood, when my phone buzzed with a text from Thurston. Looking forward to seeing you at the Vancouver retreat. The jet leaves Thursday at 10 a.m. Bring hiking gear for our excursion. You won't regret it. I hadn't confirmed my attendance, yet his presumption sent a cold prickle across my skin, a sense of being ensnared. I caught my reflection in the microwave door. Sagging jowls, deep creases, a stranger's face, and knew I'd go. The rational voice in my head warned that nothing comes without a price, but desperation silenced it. I texted back, "I'll be there." 3 words, innocuous yet fateful, setting me on a path from which there would be no return. Interactive question 1. Have you ever felt the weight of aging, the fear of becoming irrelevant as time erodes your vitality? Would you be tempted by a promise to reclaim your youth, even if the cost was unknown? The 2 weeks before the retreat passed in a blur of anticipation and doubt. Each morning, I studied my face in the mirror, counting new lines, new gray hairs, each a marker of time's theft. By the time our corporate jet touched down in Vancouver, my obsession with aging had consumed me, a fire that burned away all else. The Fairmont Pacific Rim Hotel loomed against the harbor, its glass facade reflecting the city's pulse. The first day was a predictable slog. Team-building exercises in sterile conference rooms, strategic planning sessions filled with buzzwords like synergy and disruption. I participated mechanically, my mind on Thurston's promised excursion, the secret he dangled like a lure. At the evening cocktail reception, I nursed a scotch in a corner, the ice clinking softly, watching younger executives network with effortless enthusiasm. Their energy was a mirror to my fatigue, their laughter a reminder of my isolation. I felt old, a relic among them, my 60 years a chasm. Thurston appeared at my side, impeccable in a tailored suit that highlighted his unnatural physique, his silver hair gleaming. "Rowan, there you are," he said, his voice smooth, almost too perfect. "I'd like you to meet someone special. This is Mira Caldwell." The woman beside him was striking, no older than 25, with dark, intelligent eyes that sized me up with unnerving precision. Her features were sharp, her posture poised, yet there was a stillness to her, a quiet intensity that set her apart. Mira is an archaeologist who specializes in ancient rejuvenation practices, Thurston explained. She'll be joining us for our little adventure. Mira nodded, her expression neutral, offering no smile. Mr. Lancaster, Thurston speaks highly of your potential. The word potential struck me as odd, a clinical term that carried weight I couldn't decipher. What exactly is your field of study? I asked, my curiosity piqued, though a thread of unease wove through it. I research cultures that developed methods to extend human vitality beyond conventional limits, she said plainly, her voice steady, devoid of warmth. Most of my findings never make it into academic journals. Her words lingered, heavy with implication. Over the next 2 days, I caught glimpses of Mira during conference sessions, always on the periphery, never participating, her attention fixed on Thurston and, occasionally, me. When our eyes met across rooms, she didn't look away, her gaze steady, assessing, as if measuring something I couldn't see. The retreat's final morning arrived, and as colleagues packed for the return flight to Toronto, Thurston knocked on my hotel room door, his presence filling the space. "Pack light," he said, his blue eyes gleaming. "One overnight bag with hiking gear. We leave in 30 minutes." My heart quickened, a mix of excitement and dread. Where exactly are we going? Patience, Rowan. Some questions are better answered through experience. His smile was enigmatic, a mask that hid more than it revealed. I hesitated, the rational part of my mind screaming caution, but the promise of answers, of reclaiming what time had stolen, silenced it. I threw essentials into my backpack, water bottle, extra clothes, hiking boots, basic survival gear as Thurston had instructed. A sleek black SUV waited at the hotel entrance, Mira in the back, her small canvas rucksack at her feet. She wore practical hiking attire, sturdy boots, lightweight pants, a waterproof jacket, her dark eyes unreadable. The driver navigated Vancouver's morning traffic, heading north toward the mountains. "Horseshoe Bay," Thurston explained as we wound along the coastal highway. "From there, we'll take a private boat." "To where?" I pressed, my unease growing. "Officially, Bowen Island. Unofficially, somewhere more secluded." His tone was casual, but his eyes held a weight that made my stomach twist. The car pulled into a small private marina, away from the main ferry terminal. A weathered man with leathery skin stood beside a modest fishing boat, his face blank. "Dimitri," Thurston greeted him. "Everything prepared?" The man nodded, his accent thick, Eastern European. "Weather good. Few tourists today." We boarded, the wooden planks creaking underfoot, the air sharp with salt and diesel. Dimitri handled the boat with the ease of decades on water, his eyes fixed ahead, avoiding ours, as if we carried a contagion he dared not catch. The crossing was longer than expected, cold spray stinging my face as we cut through the waves. I watched Thurston and Mira, seated across from me, exchanging silent glances, their communication excluding me. In one moment, Thurston gave her an imperceptible nod, and Mira's shoulders relaxed, a subtle shift that heightened my unease. "Is this your first time to the island?" I asked Mira, seeking to break the silence. "No," she replied, her voice flat, offering no elaboration. Thurston smiled. "Mira has been essential to my research. Her knowledge of ancient practices far exceeds what any traditional education could provide." The boat veered from the main island approach, following the rugged coastline to a secluded cove, hidden from common routes, its rocky beach unmarked by docks or structures. Dimitri maneuvered us close, the hull scraping pebbles. "Tomorrow, same time," he said as we disembarked, his eyes on the horizon. "We'll be waiting," Thurston replied, his tone final. I watched the boat pull away, my unease swelling as it vanished around the headland, leaving us stranded. We stood on the isolated shore, dense forest rising steeply before us, its pines and cedars a wall of shadow. No paths were visible, the underbrush thick with ferns and moss. Mira shouldered her pack, moving confidently toward the tree line, her steps sure, as if guided by instinct. The forest swallowed us quickly, sunlight filtering through the canopy in thin, shifting beams that barely lit our way. Mira navigated with uncanny precision, following markers invisible to me. Fallen logs, specific rock formations, subtle bends in vegetation, as if the wilderness itself whispered directions. Thurston walked beside me, his pace effortless, showing none of the fatigue that weighed my limbs after an hour's climb. "Thurston, I deserve answers," I said, my voice sharp, my breath labored. "What are we looking for out here?" He ducked under a low-hanging branch, his movements fluid. "What do you know about regeneration, Rowan? Cellular regeneration? Stem cell therapy?" I ventured, my corporate mind grasping for familiar terms. True regeneration, the reclamation of what was lost. His voice was low, reverent. Modern science approaches aging as something to slow. They've never understood it can be reversed. Through what? Some natural compound in these woods? I asked, half skeptical, half hopeful. He laughed softly, a sound that sent a chill through me. "Youth isn't found, Rowan. It's harvested." The word harvested hung in the air, sharp and sinister. "What does that mean?" "I've selected you for an opportunity few are offered," he said, his blue eyes locking onto mine. "I saw something in you from the beginning, the right combination of desperation and moral flexibility." I stopped walking, my boots sinking into the moss. "What the hell does that mean?" Mira glanced back, her voice cutting through the tension. "We should keep moving. We need to reach the site by sunset." The forest grew denser, old-growth trees towering above, their trunks cloaked in thick moss, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and pine. The atmosphere felt charged, as if the forest carried a presence, watchful and ancient. Mira navigated increasingly obscure paths, pausing to examine natural formations, twisted roots, moss-covered stones, before choosing our direction. "This island has sacred places," she said, unprompted, her voice low. "Sites where the boundary between worlds grows thin." "What worlds?" I asked, my unease deepening. She didn't answer, her silence a wall. The sun was low, painting the forest in crimson and shadow, when the trees parted, revealing a perfect circular clearing ringed by massive, moss-covered boulders, each 15 feet tall, deliberately placed. In the center stood a stone slab, its surface worn but unmarred, like an altar from a forgotten age. "Welcome to the Wellspring, Rowan," Thurston said, setting down his pack, his voice rich with anticipation. "Where time bends to will, and age becomes an inconvenient memory." I stared at the ancient arrangement, the boulders looming like sentinels, their moss glowing faintly in the twilight. Doubt crept in, a whisper that I'd been unwise to follow Thurston, that his secret was no gift but a trap. Mira knelt between two boulders, opening her rucksack to reveal archaeological tools. A small brush, a curved metal implement, a primitive chisel, their handles worn smooth by countless hands. She worked methodically, brushing away thick green moss from a narrow crevice, revealing strange, carved symbols, curved lines, angular marks, an alien script that seemed to pulse in the fading light. "What's she doing?" I asked, my voice tight, the air growing colder. "Preparing our entry," Thurston replied, his eyes fixed on Mira. "The entrance must be cleared properly. This site has served those seeking renewal for centuries," he continued, noticing my attention on the symbols. "Long before modern medicine, ancient cultures knew its secrets." "What secrets?" I stepped closer, the crevice now visible, barely wide enough for a person. "Patience. You'll understand soon." His tone was calm, but his eyes gleamed with something darker. Hunger, perhaps, or certainty. Daylight faded, the forest darkening, the temperature plummeting. Mira finished, standing back, nodding to Thurston. He lit 3 small lanterns, handing one to Mira, another to me. "It's time," he said, approaching the crevice. "Follow me, Rowan. Mind your step." The passage descends sharply. I hesitated, the darkened forest a reminder of our isolation. Miles from civilization, No trail back to the shore. Despite my reservations, I followed, the promise of answers pulling me forward. Thurston slipped into the gap, Mira waiting, her dark eyes unreadable. "Is it safe?" I asked. "That depends on what you consider safe," she said, her voice neutral, neither warning nor reassuring. I squeezed into the passage, the lantern's light flickering against cold stone walls that pressed against my shoulders. The slope was steep, forcing me to brace myself, my boots slipping on loose dirt. After 20 feet, the passage opened abruptly, and I stumbled into a chamber that defied comprehension. An underground grove, its ceiling arching 30 feet above, unsupported, its floor rich, dark soil, not stone. A circle of trees with silver-white bark and vibrant green leaves grew impossibly, their roots spreading like veins. Between them, flowers bloomed in unnatural colors, glowing faintly, as if lit from within. "What is this place?" I whispered, my voice strange in the chamber's acoustics, the air sweet, almost cloying. "The true Wellspring," Thurston said, standing beside me, his voice reverent. "Breathe deeply, Rowan." I did, and the air filled my lungs with a tingling sensation, spreading through my body. My knee pain vanished, the stiffness in my back melted, and for a moment, I felt as I had at 30, strong, vital, unburdened. "My God," I said, shocked. "How is this possible? We're underground, no light, yet everything's growing." "The rules of nature bend here," Thurston said. "This place exists at the intersection of worlds." Mira moved toward the grove's center, Thurston gesturing for me to follow. As we approached, I saw a figure on the ground. A woman, barely human, her skin translucent, veins visible beneath. Her limbs withered, joints swollen, white hair thin around a skeletal head. Her eyes were wide, alert, filled with awareness and suffering. A silent plea that rooted me in horror. "Who is that?" I gasped, stepping back. "We need to get her help." "That's Ingrid," Thurston said, his calm chilling. "She doesn't need help. She is the help." Mira knelt beside the woman, touching her forehead gently. The woman's eyes shifted to me, her plea intensifying. "This is the wellspring of youth, Rowan," Thurston said. "Not a fountain or pool, but a vessel. A living vessel." I stared at the withered figure, then at Thurston's unlined face, his vibrant hair, his clear eyes. "What are you saying?" "I first encountered Ingrid in 1913, in Salzburg. She was ancient even then," he said, stepping closer to her. "For over a century, she has provided what we need to maintain our youth." The implication hit like a blow. "You're harvesting something from her. Her essence." "Her essence," he confirmed, the word clinical, devoid of empathy. "The process is simple but requires preparation." I backed away, shaking my head. "This is monstrous. I'm out." Thurston's hand clamped my arm, his strength unnatural. "No one leaves until the ritual is complete, Rowan. You've come too far." His other hand drew a glinting object from his pocket, the lantern light catching its edge. "I cultivated our relationship for years. Your position, your resources, your moral flexibility. I need what you can provide." Thurston forced me toward the grove's center, his grip unrelenting, my legs leaden. Mira arranged objects beside Ingrid's small, ancient tools, their purpose unclear. "Begin," Thurston ordered, releasing my arm but pressing a nerve in my shoulder, paralyzing me. "Watch carefully." He knelt beside Ingrid, placing one hand on her chest, another on her forehead, his eyes closing. He chanted in a language I didn't recognize, its rhythm shaking the chamber. A faint glow emanated from Ingrid's skin, wisps of energy rising, flowing into Thurston's hands. His age lines vanished, his silver hair darkened to chestnut, his skin flushed with health. Ingrid withered further, her skin cracking, her eyes clouding, her body jerking before crumbling into ash, absorbed by the soil. "The transference is complete," Thurston said, standing, now in his early 40s, vibrant and powerful. "Ingrid's essence is consumed." "You killed her," I whispered, horror choking me. She died centuries ago, he laughed. This was the final extraction. He turned to Mira, who stood silent. It's time. I understood, sickness rising. She's the next vessel, I said, my voice bitter. That's why you brought her. Mira has been prepared since childhood, Thurston said, his satisfaction chilling. Chosen for her life force, trained to serve the Wellspring. This is insane, I protested, struggling against the invisible force holding me. You can't do this to her. Mira moved to Ingrid's spot, her eyes glazed, trance-like. The vessel must be willing, Thurston said. Speak the binding word. Nasker, Mira said, her voice clear. The soil darkened, tendrils emerging, wrapping her wrists, ankles, waist, throat, fusing with her flesh. Her eyes widened, pain breaking her trance, a choked scream escaping. Perfect, Thurston murmured, kneeling beside her, chanting again. Energy flowed from Mira, brighter than Ingrid's, his body transforming. Hair fully brown, skin supple, youth restored to his mid-20s. Mira convulsed, her skin wrinkling, hair whitening, her screams weakening to whimpers as she became a withered husk, still alive, still suffering. This is the true Wellspring, Thurston said, arms spread, his voice rich with stolen vitality. How I've survived for a century, and will for centuries more. I stared at Mira's eyes, conscious, tormented, and understood Thurston's plan for me. As his hold weakened, I lunged, grabbing my hiking boot and swinging it at his face. Blood sprayed, his nose cracking, and he stumbled. Mira reached toward me, whispering, "My pack! The knife! Mercy!" I seized her rucksack, finding a hunting knife. "I'm sorry," I said, slashing her throat. Her body shuddered, collapsing into ash, the grove's trees dulling momentarily. Thurston roared, tackling me, his hands on my throat, draining my essence. My skin aged, spots forming, my strength fading. I grabbed the knife, stabbing his side repeatedly, blood soaking the soil. We rolled, landing where Mira had lain. His eyes widened in terror. "No, not here. Nasker," I said, the word awkward but potent. The soil liquefied, tendrils binding Thurston, his screams echoing as his youth faded, his body withering, hair falling out, but stopping short of dust. A living corpse, conscious, suffering. "The vessel can never die," he wheezed. "For centuries, feeling every moment as we're drained." The grove revived, trees vibrant, flowers blooming, fed by Thurston's essence. "You did this to Ingrid," I said, my voice ancient. "You were going to do it to Mira." "The cycle continues," he whispered, his smile chilling. "Someone will come. They always do." I emerged from the crevice at dawn, my body aged decades, my reflection in a stream revealing a man in his 70s. White hair, sunken cheeks, clouded eyes. Dimitri's boat arrived, his lack of surprise confirming he'd seen this before. "You knew," I said, boarding. "I transport," he shrugged, guiding us back to Vancouver. Some return younger, some older, some not at all. Back in Toronto, I became Martin Gray, a new identity forged in Vancouver's underbelly. My life as Rowan Lancaster was erased, my disappearance a mystery in news articles. I researched the Wellspring, scouring ancient texts for patterns, Greek myths of living springs, medieval tales of age-eaters, colonial warnings of hungry earth. The Wellspring relocated when vessels were depleted, hiding in new caves, new groves, always requiring sacrifice. 5 years later, in a Montreal hospice, I was a husk, my body failing from Thurston's draining. A journalist, Elise Mitchell, found me, tracing anonymous warnings I'd posted. I told her everything, giving her my journal. "Warn them," I urged. "Youth requires a vessel, someone suffering eternally." She revealed a new cave on Vancouver Island, its grove thriving, 2 hikers missing. "It moved," I whispered, begging her not to go. She took my journal but left, her silence confirming her intent.